Today's discussion was predominantly about the abandonment of the old road and the design of the potential new haul road, which will be masquerading as an alternative Via Pretensa for the old abandoned road. Now, it is meant to be an alternative road, but to all intents and purposes, it's a haul road straight into the mining compound. We were hastily assured by the doorman part of the Dorman company, you remember, the folk that had come up with this tragic design of a substandard road, that site traffic will not use the haul road. No mention at all of other traffic that will be coming and going every day from the mine. This will be the road that all staff use coming and going to the mine. Imagine this. There's a change of shift. Workers each driving their own car, say just 50 cars going in and 50 cars going out on a single track road, and then a tractor comes along. The whole thing will be blocked from end to end. The question is, in a scenario such as this, how long will local vehicles have to wait to travel from east to west or north to south, bearing in mind this will happen twice a day, 365 days a year? Or imagine this, 44,000 tonnes of explosives will be delivered over the course of the lifetime of the mine. These deliveries will have to be on a very regular basis because of the stringent laws associated with explosive storage, which do not allow huge amounts of explosives to be stored. And imagine how easy it would be to block off each end of the road, essentially trapping a lorry carrying explosives. What an invitation to those who would like to use explosives for nefarious purposes, and I don't mean Halloween. The traffic lights at each end would have to be permanently on green to allow the free movement of these explosive trucks, and then the road from north to south will be blocked, as this scenario is played out every couple of days, creating yet more inconvenience and annoyance for the locals. Cormac McAleer spoke movingly about the comparison between the two roads, the one to be abandoned and the new one. The old road, bounded by heather, alder and willow, the song of the cuckoo, the sighting of the hare, framed by the softness of the surrounding tree and the light of ages. The new road, regulated by traffic lights, security fencing, constant noise and dust from the mine, and probably lit up at night. He referred to Dalradian's fondness for continually using bespoke models, this time in the road design. He pointed out that yet again information was incomplete on every level, and especially on assessment safety. He referred to the cutting of corners and to the certain knowledge that all of this will be waved through by relevant departments, this time DFI Roads. He pointed out once more that the road designs company Dorman is engaged on behalf of the applicant and is funded by the applicant and is not an independent assessor. He went on to say that the public inquiry, roads inquiry, is unfit for purpose, and if it wasn't within the confines of the inquiry, it would be considered a joke. He spoke the truth that the community was wholesale being abandoned to a sacrifice zone and declared, "We, the people, are not going to be a sacrifice zone for the sake of this company." He pointed out that the departments who are supposed to be taking care of the health and safety of the public are the very same ones who are undermining the process, and that this was the tragedy of the elephant in the room at this point. His frustration with the process and the methodology that DFI roads are using to avoid some of the most basic safety concerns associated with the new road literally boiled over, and he was asked to leave the room or sit down and be quiet. But Cormac had removed himself before the Riot Act was read out by the commissioners. Alvin, counsel for DFI, refuted Cormac's statement, saying BMRB standards for road safety were not applied strictly because of the nature of the road, and reassuringly added that the road would have to get through all sorts of road safety audits before the DFI would adopt it. I was able to ask at this stage, what happens if it does not pass all the DFI safety audits? Thinking to myself, well, then it would be left to the company to maintain the road and keep it up to a standard, and one can see where this is going. Now it's a private road and there's no public access, as well as being miserably below spec. Beattie countered that is, Council for Dalradian, that east to west is a public road which will be adopted. ... And north to south is a private road owned by the company. The conversation turned to the Mass Rock, and Beattie intimated that the Mass Rock has only recently presented itself as a problem for Dalradian. Could it be perhaps seeking again to actively underline the validity of the concerns of the people in relation to access to the Mass Rock? Nah, couldn't be. It was only a few days previously we had a senior member of the Greencastle parish fondly recalling how she remembers her uncle bringing her to the Mass Rock over 60 years ago. It occurred to me, listening to the Dalradian Council, he sought to cast doubt on this very real lived experience. Nevertheless, he was at pains to indicate another route to get to the Mass Rock at the back of the GPO site, up a hill, over hedges and ditches and barbed wire fences. Fidelma O'Kane explained to us she had explored this alternative route over the weekend. She said anyone would find it difficult to travel this way to the Mass Rock, never mind a woman of her age. She said this was not a mitigation for access to the Mass Rock. And Conor Fagan, Consul for FODC to the Commissioner, said to think very carefully about the recommendations of access to Mass Rock as a mitigation, as it wouldn't be good to rely on a promise from a private company not necessarily backed up. Fidelma went on to say that the proposed abandonment of the old road is not just a planning issue, it raises serious human rights concerns around access, religion, property, safety and community life. In rural areas, these roads are often the only access to historic faith sites, turf cutting rights, farmland and community facilities. Simply telling people to cross fields is neither practical nor rights compliant, particularly for elderly or disabled residents. The DFI Transport must prove the road is genuinely unnecessary and that any alternative access fully protects the rights of local people, not just the interests of the developer. Under Article 68, a road simply cannot be abandoned because a developer owns the land around it. The department must prove the road is no longer necessary or that proper alternative access exists, and that includes for walkers, pilgrims, landowners and local communities, not just vehicles. Mary Brawley followed with, I submit that this road is too narrow and this will carry real-world consequences, that the DFI has insufficiently engaged with other users, farmers, rivers agencies, sports clubs, walkers, that there has been an underestimation of road safety, that the replacement route does not meet technical standards, that there's a lack of socio-economic analysis, a lack of appreciation of farm operations, land severance, property access, an over-reliance on external advice from applicants, and that the conclusion is predetermined, that the cumulative rural impacts are not genuinely assessed. All of this brought us up to lunchtime, and at this point I'm going to leave it here. After lunch was all about planning conditions, and I will put that in a podcast tomorrow evening, as I feel I will go way beyond 10 minutes if I keep going. By the by, quote of the day had to come from Pat Hawhey when he announced to the Commissioner, I'll finish up there now, as I can see you're looking bored. To be fair to Pat, it was the shortest and most popular statement he made all morning. I'll be back tomorrow with the conditions. See you then. And as usual, a reminder, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, help us get these voices out by following the podcast or hit the star buttons and review us. It really helps the algorithm.